So I'm going to do a restoration of a vintage Sony stereo amplifier in this episode. How vintage, you might ask? Well, I believe that this one was produced between 1972 and 1974 and has a real wood cabinet. And the condition of this one, well, it looks like it just came out of the box. Wait a minute, it did just come out of the box. Hey guys, look what I just found. I got this for a song. I don't know if it works. It's a 1972 vintage, I would guess. It's in immaculate condition. I even have the box for it and all the packaging. What's our specs on this? 70 watts. I don't think so. Yeah, it's more like 23 watts per channel, guys. Not 70 watts. Where do they get that from? What does it say here? Has do's and don'ts. Whoa, look at that. They even give you a diagram of how to connect it. They even show a reel-to-reel tape recorder because, you know, reel-to-reel recorders were still quite popular back in the early 70s. It says 35 watts per channel of dynamic power. Good luck. I'm going to say 25 watts. When they said 70, I guess that must have been combined power. English is just in one column here. "28 watts into 8 ohms, 35 watts into 4 ohms, one channel operating." Or 23 watts into 8 ohms, or 27 watts into 4 ohms, with both channels operating. I love it how they used to rate the power, right? They're saying it has a power bandwidth of 10 hertz to 40 kilohertz. It's all silicon transistor stereo integrated amplifier. Blah, blah, blah. Block diagram only, not a schematic. That was wishful thinking. Anyway, I got the manual for it. Not that the manual does anything to me, but this unit I'm definitely not going to be keeping. I'm going to be selling this unit. Let's see if it works first of all. Let's pop it apart, take a look at it. I'm sure it's going to need cleaning up. See if we can get this thing working. Because it's kind of neat. Such an old piece. And in such good condition. Looks like this thing's been sitting in the box for the past 40 years, doesn't it? Look at that, it's not a mark on it. Like, not as much as a scratch. Oh, there's a little bit of dirt on the side here, but even the front panel is remarkably clean. Like, it hardly looks like it's been used. The twist tie that's holding the wire, the power cable, almost looks original. Does this say Sony on it by chance? That almost looks original. Big twist tie like that. Anyway, 2-prong plug. It's powered up. This being an amplifier, I'll need to give it some external source, but we'll pull the top off of it first and just see what it looks like inside. It's a wooden cover. As you can see, it's a wood veneer cover. And I don't know if that's real wood or whether that's vinyl. It feels like it might be a real wood veneer, which would be, I mean, they would have done that back in the 70s, right? Plywood with a veneer on it. Anyway, let's say the cabinet is in really good shape. Oh, look at that little tiny power transformer and these little tiny power transistors. The moment of truth. Will it do anything? Or will it just make noise? Well, the green power light lights up on the front, as you can see. I've got it set for the auxiliary input. We'll set our bass and treble to 0. And it actually works. Wow. That's no fun. Doesn't sound very good though. Now it's not coming across on camera quite as well as I could hear, but the right channel has a fair bit of distortion. it just kind of sounds muddy. It's not really. I'm listening on my headphones here off the camera, and it certainly
that switch is bad.
was certainly more noticeable to my ears on this initial checkout. But we're going to fix that problem. We're going to restore this one. Get this amp working properly so that I can try and get a few dollars for it.
Well, for starters, the switches need to be cleaned for starters. They're noisy.
Right now, there's someone in Japan that's on drugs that thinks one of these is worth $650 US.
That would be problematic. These are the tape monitor switches are here, tape 1 and tape 2, and then back to source, and the other switches are all under here. Start out by doing that, just putting some cleaner into them. I wonder if a couple caps in here might need to be replaced. This thing does not sound very good. I don't know if it comes over on camera, but it just sounds mushy. That's the best way I can describe the sound. It's just not crisp. Look at the switches, big. It's got a big lever on the top of it here. The switches are set back a good 2 inches from the front of the unit. Controls are clean though, like the volume and so forth, and the bass and treble. They sound okay. Clean that control, or all these switches, I should say. What I will do is I'll take the bottom off of this one, off the bottom cover off, so that I can access the bottom of the board, and I think we'll change a few of those caps out that are probably pretty dry, just considering the age of this unit, and see whether that will improve the sound. I'd like to sell this unit. It's not going to be worth a heck of a lot, but so I don't want to put too much effort into it, because it's not going to be worth hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of dollars. Like some people will say, oh, that's worth several $100s. No, it's not. Devices aren't worth what people seem to think that they are. I had a guy contact me the other day about a certain tape deck that I serviced, a Harman Kardon that I serviced about a year or so ago, and he was wanting to sell it, and he was offering it to me for $2,900. I laughed. I said, $2,900 for a cassette deck? Good luck. It might be worth a couple $100s to the right buyer, but okay, here's the circuit board on this one. Incandescent bulb for the light, but readily accessible. As you can see, this thing looks like it was all hand soldered. There's no bad connections to be found on this one. They all look great. As far as that switch goes, it's not in that bad a shape. It might come back just by switching it back and forth a bit. It's not like it's cutting out or anything. It was just a bit noisy. Even it's not even noisy now. switches are okay, actually. I think what we'll do on this is I'm going to change out some of those caps. We'll change these caps out in the power amplifier stage and see if we improve the sound. So we'll take a look at this first cap that's coming out of this one. We'll see what shape it's in. Open up the holes there a bit for the new one. Negatives to the back, and here's the old cap. Let's just take a look at it. Yeah, it's like it's off the. Oh no, it's actually not bad. I just wasn't making a good connection. Let's see, it's 220 at 6.3 volts. So what is it? It's actually 0.1. Nothing wrong with this cap. So 0.6 would be considered pretty good for a new one. It's 0.1. I don't need to change this cap. I was going to change it, but you know what? After seeing that, there's nothing wrong with this one. And if I look at the capacity on it, I bet you it's up to full capacity. There's no point in changing caps that are good. We'll test them and see how they look, but there's no point in changing them just for the sake of changing them. I'll change them if they need to be changed. 280 microfarads. Nothing wrong with it. That's fine. Well, that's one I don't need to change. We'll check the next one out. See how this one is. So this one's a 10 microfarad at 16 volts. Look at the ESR on this one. I'm sure some of these the ESR will be high on, but we'll figure it out. 1.1 for 10 at 16 volts. Well, according to the chart, anything less than 8 is acceptable. So here's another one that's fine. What do you bet they're all like this in this amp? But wait, they have to be bad because they're old, right? Isn't that how the saying goes? Change them because they're bad? Well, that's something that the amateurs do. All the amateurs tend to do that because they don't understand how capacitors fail and that only certain ones will actually go bad. The vast majority will be just fine, 50 years later. But we'll test them. We'll go through and test them all and see if there's any bad ones. This 47 microfarad actually might be bad. Let's test this one for capacity and then we'll look at the ESR. So capacity wise, it's only showing up at 1.7, 1.8 microfarads. This is the 47 at 50 volts. So this one might actually be bad. That's why you kind of have to test them. This is why guys will go through and they'll shotgun and replace every cap in an amp, just because they don't know how to test them or how they go bad. But typically it's only going to be a couple that go bad, and you can test them either with ESR. This case is showing it's open, so this cap is bad, and chances are the twin of it on the other channel will also be bad, but this one's bad. So this one gets changed. 50 volts at 47 microfarad. So that's one. Its twin is right down, where was it? Its twin would be this one, right here. Because the amplifiers are a mirror image. These are the two that tested good. That's the equivalent of them over there. We'll check it and see. But there's a good chance that this one here is also bad, just because it would undergone the same stresses that the original one did. So, capacitor wise, oh, this one's actually measuring okay. So that one was bad, but this one's okay. And we'll take a look at ESR. At 0.15, this cap's fine. So we don't need to change this one. Okay, back to the other side. Let's start up here again. Let's go to this next cap that was the next one down, which was, is it that? Or is it this one here? There it is there. Nice thing about these old boards is that they're easy to work with. The through holes are huge. How's this one look? We'll look at this one capacity wise too first, because that's always a pretty good indicator. Generally the capacity will be down if the ESR is bad. So 200 and what was it, 282? 281. It's a 220 at 63 volt. It's fine. 220. Our ESR on this one. .1. No problem. This is just going to be one cap. It could very well be. It was just one cap. As I say, when I turned it on, it kind of sounded like the sound didn't sound good. It sounded, I call it spongy. It just didn't sound like I thought it should. And but it could have just been the one channel too that was causing it, you know, making it sound kind of a bit off. So yesterday I decided to go for a little cruise. Didn't feel like working in the shop yesterday, so I figured I would just take off for a day and see some sights. Big mistake. A car caught fire. Not my car, a car. And they closed the highway down. Plus the fact that there's so many bloody fires right now that some of the roads are closed, so one of the major highways that Trans-Canada is closed. So there was the Coquihalla and the Crow's Nest, Highway 3. And I was going to go up the Crow's Nest. I was going to do the big circle drive. Go up to Hope, beyond Hope, over to Princeton, and then from Princeton over to Merritt, and then Merritt back down. You know, something that would take me a few hours, you know, to do that, five hours or so. But a car caught fire, and they had the Coquihalla Highway was closed, so they were diverting everybody the other way, and it made what should have been about a 5 hour round trip, 5 to 6 hour round trip, take like 8 hours. This is a 3.3 at 25 volts, and it's looking okay. 3.3. I'm going to put 4.94. So that one's okay as well. Now many of these we can measure in circuit. Like for ESR, right, we can measure in circuit. That gives us a pretty good quick check to see whether they're any good or not. So that I've been measuring a lot of them in circuit. Like 0.15, yeah, that one's good. Right? So as we measure across the different caps in circuit, we can get a good idea whether they're good or bad just by the reading in circuit. So we can get a good idea whether a cap is bad without having to pull it. So I checked all the caps, every single one of them, in the power amp circuit. So all of these have been checked. That one was bad. Oh, I didn't check this one. Let's check this one. I haven't checked these main filters either. I don't anticipate any problems with them. But let's just check this other one here, and I'll check these other two. There's some preamp ones over here for the phono preamp, but I'm not too worried about those ones at this point. There's this one up here. Yeah, that's good. That one's good. The main filters, they'll be fine. I'm not going to do those. I would pull them out of the circuit or discharge them first just because they could hold enough of a charge to damage my meter. But I don't anticipate that the main filters are bad. Typically when main filters go bad, you hear it as a hum on the sound, right? If there's ripple coming off the main filter, you're going to hear it as a hum. It's not going to present another way. Okay, let's try it out. See if it's made any improvement to the sound. I think so. It was on this channel, so it'll be the right channel that was bad. I think it's kind of silly having two volume controls. Like, you know. Oh, let's set our volume. Okay. Like, just have one in a balance control, right? You don't need two, but that's the way they did things back then. I guess more knobs look cooler. One thing we can do on this is I can hook up a turntable and we'll take a listen to the magnetic cartridge preamp. Okay, got a turntable hooked up to this little amplifier. Gotta love that crackle and pop. Oh, geez. Vinyl. Good riddance. Good riddance, vinyl. Snap, crackle, pop. Listen, the snap, crackle, and pop is in stereo. So there's a look at it from the bottom. You gotta get a good look at it. I'm going to put the unit back together now and put it up for sale. See what I can get for it on one of the selling sites like Craigslist. I won't be putting it up on eBay as I don't use eBay. I like to sell my stuff local. That way people aren't incurring, hundreds of dollars to ship things. I just like to sell my stuff for cash, and person comes out and picks it up and takes it away, and they're happy and I'm happy. And even if I get less for it, I'm happy to get rid of stuff that way. One last look before I put it back together. Look at that cabinet. That cabinet, it's like new. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one real soon. Bye for now.